Are you ready for me to go through one of your CVs to be able to show you step by step how to be able to maximize its quality? If so, stick around and let's do this thing today on this special episode of Navigating Academia. What's up, Navigating Academia family? This is Dr. J. Phoenix Singh coming at you with another episode of Navigating Academia, your leading source for guidance on how you can advance your career in academia. Today we're going to be continuing our limited series that I've been putting together for you, where I've asked you all to send me your CVs or resumes, as well as your personal statements or statements of purpose, so that I can go through them step by step and provide comprehensive feedback on how you can optimize these kinds of materials. Not only do I think it'll be helpful for you, the individuals who are brave enough to be able to send me your materials, but also for our thousands upon thousands of subscribers who may find themselves in the exact same situation as you. Maybe they are going to apply for grad school, try to secure their dream postdoc, apply for a tenure track position, or even apply for an industry position. Whatever it is, we've got you covered. So make sure to smash that like button, comment below because it helps the algorithm. And in addition to that, if you're interested in supporting my development of content like this, please consider at least buying me a cup of coffee down here via our Patreon. It's a few bucks a month and you get access to exclusive content, recordings of all of our live streams, access to an exclusive chat community where you can talk one-on-one with me, and also a one-on-one shout out in one of our future videos. Now, in addition to all of this, you also get discounts off of one-on-one bookings with me for academic coaching. Why is this important? Because this is a limited series that I'm doing for you. And so because of that, when it's over, I want to make sure that you guys know that I'm always here for you. And so we can always do one of these types of reviews together, one-on-one. To be able to schedule one, just pop down to my personal website here, which is www.jphoenixsing.com, and you can go ahead and book an appointment. I would love to be able to speak with you. So without further ado, let's get into today's manuscript. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get into it. Here's our CV for the day. What I want to do is to really commend the individual who sent this CV in to me. I want to go ahead and actually read a redacted version of this individual's email to me before we kind of take a look. And the reason I say that is that I take a look at the CV, and yes, it is one page in length. So before we get into it, I want to read this email to provide everybody some context, okay? So here's the very kindly worded email. So it says, "Hi, Dr. Singh. I recently graduated this spring with a Bachelor's of Science degree in computer science. I am now seeking admission in various Masters of Science programs in computer science. I saw your recent video on YouTube, thought I would reach out to you for a CV and personal statement evaluation. I honestly appreciate you for doing this for your subscribers. I'm a person who really slacked off. If anybody doesn't know what slacked off means, basically means didn't focus on work. In undergraduate for the first 3 years. I barely networked and never even held an internship. It was during my senior year where I found my passion for a field in computer science called data management. As a result, my CV is not great at all. I'd still really appreciate it if you were able to go through my files and evaluate them as they are." Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for giving me the pleasure of being able to take a look at this. I know it takes a lot of courage to be able to send somebody something that maybe you're not pleased with or maybe you're not proud of. So just know that I really respect that. What I would say, guys, is that so many people, so many of you that I've been blessed to work with in terms of one-on-one consults throughout the last 3 years that I've been doing this channel, so many people, this is kind of a common story. Usually what happens is that the first year or the first 2 years usually are spent either just in a state of not knowing what one would like to do, or it's something where it's the first time away from parents, so away from those restrictions, or coming into college thinking that you're going to be in one particular career field, like maybe you really want to go to med school, and maybe your family was excited for you to go to med school, so that puts even more pressure on you. and then all of a sudden you take, a bio or a chem class. And I laugh because I did that. I took a bio class. It was biology for engineers, and I still remember taking it, and I was like, oh my God, I am screwed. And so all of a sudden we find ourselves shifting gears into a new career path, but maybe we only shifted career paths after 1 or 2 years of, in some cases, not the best performance grade-wise in whatever that initial desired career field and hence major and hence course load was. And that is an unfortunate situation. The most important thing that an individual can do if they find themselves in that situation where maybe their grade point average is compromised, in this individual's case where this is their CV, what has happened is that they didn't realize for the first 3 years what they wanted, and in their 4th year, this is, when they realize what they want to do. The most important thing, which is the hard truth, and this is the reason you guys watch this channel, is that I lovingly tell you guys the truth always, and don't blow smoke, as they say, is that when we're applying for master's degree programs or even doctoral degree programs, and we're in a case like this, that the world does not owe me or you understanding in terms of our stories. In other words, individuals who did not have that issue, who did not, using your term, slack off, or for other individuals in other circumstances, people who, they knew what they wanted to do since before undergraduate, they didn't need 1 or 2 years to figure it out. In those cases, you are competing against those other individuals who didn't have those hits to their GPA, who, when everybody else was having fun or partying or doing whatever they wanted, they were in the library, they were at home not doing those things. And it's just something that's really scary to take into consideration, but it's also the honest truth. And you guys know me, I'm all about just being really straightforward, because once we know where we are, then we can make some modifications and some adaptations. And remember that if you want it badly enough, there's always things that can kind of be done, but it may not be on the time schedule, let's say, that you initially assumed it would be. And the other thing to really watch out for, which I find happens a lot, is people don't have the best application materials or credentials, but for some reason they still think they can get into like a top-level program. That's not going to happen. And so it's very important that, standards are kind of changed. I see this a lot in clinical psychology. People will say, here's the programs I'm shooting for, and it's not based on who the supervisor is, which is how you should choose clinical psych PhD programs, but instead they've just chosen every massive named R1 clinical psych PhD program and have basically thought to themselves, if I apply to all of them, I'm going to get into at least one. And that is not true. So, you just got to really check yourself on this. And to the individual who sent this document, I'm not speaking to you directly on that. I'm just saying in general, it's important that all of us relinquish what is called in child psychology the personal fable, which is the belief that just because we're the protagonist in the story of our own lives, that the rest of the world has to play ball, as it were, or has to accept our desires, and that is not the case. A really valuable thing that happens in college, I can tell you that it happened to me, and it happens to everyone in some regard, is that the world kind of kicks us in the teeth a little bit. This can be with our grades, this can be with romantic relationships, it can do with family relations, it can do it in many different ways. But one way that it can do that is basically showing us the very serious career consequences that slacking off can have in the long term, okay? And again, I say all of this as lovingly as I can. So let's go ahead and take a look at the CV here. So certainly because the CV is only one page, we don't kind of have a lot to be able to go off of. This is one of the rare, I'll say it even from the beginning before we go through, this is one of the rare circumstances where it would not be a bad idea to go and do one of three things. Number one is to go and do a post-bac. It's like a post-baccalaureate program in computer science to be able to take more classes, build up some even more unique and niche skill sets, and just really try to take more classes. Right now, as you can see here under education, we've got a GPA of just a little bit over 3.0. It's not very good, just objectively speaking. If you did want to apply for a master's degree, you would be going for some of the, if we've got like tier 1, which are the top programs, tier 2 mid programs, tier 3 low programs, we would either be in the upper third or the lower second. So the program we would go to wouldn't really be doing us any favors. Remember that when it comes to a graduate degree, nobody's going to remember your performance in undergrad if you just say, oh, I went to such and such university and that's where I have a master's in computer science. Nobody's going to say, okay, well, that's great, but what was your undergraduate GPA? That's not a thing. Nobody's ever going to ask you that. But it is important to take into consideration that if you do go to a master's program that frankly is not very good or that people don't respect, that's a problem. Right? Because you did go. I mean, I know UMass Lowell, right? I went to Tufts, which is in Boston. And so I know the UMass schools pretty well. And, you know, UMass is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with UMass Lowell. And so because of that, if you went from UMass Lowell to a university nobody's ever heard of in their lives, and it has no reputation whatsoever in computer science, but you went there just because you could get into the master's program because you couldn't be accepted elsewhere, that's not good. Okay? So number 1 would be a post-bac. Number 2 would be literally just going and grinding it out at work somewhere for a few years. I'm talking about maybe minimum 1, but I'd say probably even like 2 to 3 years of full-time work. You're not going to get paid particularly well, but if you can go and even like working for a startup at like an incubator, maybe there's somebody there who needs some assistance of people who, you know, they need somebody for Python or Java, you know, or C, C++, or one of these sorts of things, or a scripting language, so on and so forth. They need somebody to help them with that. You should go and work for them and develop additional skills and get additional experience. And if it's not a startup, if it's a legit company and you work your butt off, I'm just telling you, you're going to have to work twice as hard as everybody else. Right? And that's not a bad thing, right? That's going to teach you a lot of resilience. It's going to be really healthy. It's a challenge. If you decide to accept it, I think it's going to be a great thing for your life, but it's not going to be easy. And what you need to do is you need to kind of, you know, take a look at where we'll hire you. And if there's any kind of a program there, would be amazing if you really prove yourself, and maybe they would even consider paying for your master's degree. I see it happen all the time with different types of degrees, even MBAs, like Masters of Business Administration, even people who want to work as a lawyer, right? So much money you can save, a law firm, maybe you're a paralegal there and you want to go and get a JD. What an amazing experience, okay? So that's what I would say. Number 2, go get some work experience. And number 3, when I'm looking at this, where are the certifications? I want a huge number of certifications from you. Like, for example, I'm looking at this. Where are my Amazon certs? Where are my Microsoft certs? I mean, documentation, MS Word, Excel, PowerPoint, it's nothing, right? I want as many certs as I can get on this thing, right? From everywhere you can. I want you to eat ramen, live in a hostel, and do certifications day and night, right? To be able to make yourself stand out. Because right now what we've got is not great. It's not enough. Like you said, you recognized it, that there was some slacking off undergrad. I get it, trust me. I have very dear friends of mine who are in the very same situation. And you want to know what happened to them? Now they're medical doctors. Now they're dentists. Now they are wildly successful. They've got a lot of money in the bank. They have amazing spouses, and you can have that exact same outcome. But you got to catch it now. Okay, I'm just telling you, you got to catch it now. Okay, so let's take a look actually what we got going on here. Up here, here's the full name of the individual. I like that they've got the country code, which I've mentioned in other videos is important, especially if you went to grad school in the US. Presumably, this is a number that will directly reach you and not a generic kind of departmental line. I don't like that you have a yahoo.com email address. We need a .edu, especially if it's something where you just graduated in May. That may be a problem. Otherwise, if you can find like something like Outlook or something just other than a Yahoo email address or a Gmail email address, that would be great. Okay, so we've got education. Notice how there's no colon after it. Then we've got tools, and there is a colon. Then academic projects, there is a colon. And then additional experience, and there's no colon. That's not good. We need everything to be as consistent as possible in this document, okay? Now, I also don't like the spacing. We got, I believe, about 2 spaces here, then 1 space, 1 space, 1 space here. We're kind of cramming everything also. If I kind of zoom out here just a little bit, you see how we don't have a lot of space up here relative to the amount of space we got at the bottom? We got space that we can play with, which is great, okay? Now, a couple of things here. This says additional experience. I know I'm kind of going from the bottom up, right? This was 8 years ago, though. That's too long ago to include that on a CV relative to everything else on the CV. I think it is delightful that you volunteered for a month to teach middle school mathematics and English to kiddos after school in an impoverished setting. I think that is honorable and awesome. I also know that it's not going to make any difference in you getting into a master's program, so I would delete that. And because of deleting that, I would probably also recommend deleting the first thing, even though I haven't read it yet. But it says Office of Multicultural Affairs. Not sure why there's a comma after that. This UMass Lowell thing or whatever. Again, I would just remove these pieces here, right? If it's UMass Lowell, I also don't understand why up here it's UMass Lowell, but it's got a comma, and then here there's no comma. Is it supposed to be a comma? Is it supposed to be a hyphen? I don't know what it's supposed to be. I don't like inconsistencies though, right? So it should be University of Massachusetts Lowell, comma, Office of Multicultural Affairs. That's what it would be on kind of the first line with September 2018 over here. Also, all of these are contracted. Jan instead of January, Oct instead of October. Why is this September and why is this November instead of a contracted form? No. Okay. Next, volunteered to set up decorations and catering facilities for the annual cultural festival. Again, I think that is awesome, and I don't think it's going to do you any favors whatsoever. I want you to delete this entire section. I understand that maybe you were trying to add some padding there. I get it. This is not going to do anything for us. In fact, it looks like padding, and it looks desperate. Delete it, okay? Education, bachelor's of science. It should be bachelor's. You may as well just say BS. In computer science, and then give me the GPA of that. Oh, I see what you're doing. You're doing the cumulative. Okay, I get it. BS in computer science, and then just say with minor in mathematics, then in parentheses put GPA colon 3.05. Okay. Okay. Okay, I would honestly put this line also where this bolded italics thing is here right now. But keep May 2021 in the same line where it is right now. Tools, remove the colon afterward, okay? To be honest, we should just de-italicize education, academic projects, and additional experience. Education tools, academic projects and additional experience. Maybe put a line underneath them and then actually center the headings themselves, i.e. these 4 lines here. You can go ahead and center those 4. Okay. Tools, programming languages, we've got those, scripting languages, software. Some of these, it doesn't make sense. Like, why did debugger go down to the second line? Clearly there's room for debugger up here. What is the rhyme and reason behind the MySQL? I get why that would go there. Some of the other things though, why is, for example, Wireshark before Jupyter Notebook? Why is Metasploit before Jupyter Notebook? There's no alphabetization there, so is there a reason for that? And then operating systems, Unix and Linux, and then Windows 10. Documentation, I don't really know what documentation means. I just don't feel like this is necessary, this line. It just seems too basic. And then academic projects. Were they all academic? That's what I don't understand, is that, or do you specialize in academic things? Or are these just kind of like, kind of seminal projects that you worked on? It's just unclear to me. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Okay. MySQL and XAMPP. Okay. Based. Okay, this should be a hyphen here. Based. High school. High should not be capitalized. High school portal, website, and mobile app. Okay. Collaborated with a team of 4. Nope. Anything that is below the number 10 should be spelled out. FOUR. To design a web-based database management system, student information system for high school students, parents and administration that could perform CRUD operations. Remove the period at the end, only have a period if there is 2 or more sentences back to back, otherwise unnecessary. And you can do that from all of these, okay, all throughout the thing. Take the periods away, okay, unless it's 2 sentences back to back. Modeled an entity relationship diagram for the database, developed website using PHP and HTML scripts for users to interact with the SIS online. I'm curious, why is it that the I is lowercase? I know that that's probably a standard thing. I'm just literally curious about that. Okay, developed a mobile app using Android Studio for users to interact with the SIS. Just say on their smartphone. Okay. Implementation of a buffer overflow attack on a victim's computer. Let's see. Okay. Generated a buffer overflow attack to access a victim's computer command prompt by identifying vulnerabilities in a C file, which asks for username and password, launching on the victim's computer. Okay, comma after that. Always use an Oxford comma. And interpreting the assembly code of the file on Windows 10. Okay, no period. Last one, team leader. Also, it would be nice to be able to reduce the amount of space here, and then increase the amount of space here as well as here. And remember, like I said, we always need an extra space before every one of the main section headings like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and read these here. Supervise a team of 3, nope, 3, THREE instead of the numeral, to implement a classification software in Python. Python, what's the issue with Python? That's a Python that eats birds, not identifies them, right? Capitalize the P in Python, okay? Yes, that is the funniest computer science thing I have ever said in my life. Supervised a team of 3 to implement a classification software in Python to identify birds based on their characteristics. Achieved implementation using machine learning algorithm called random forest. Okay, machine learning, I'm pretty sure doesn't need to be capitalized, and then because this is being called something, put it in quotes with a period outside the quote. Performed result analysis through verification methods. Just say, comma, including accuracy, testing, and cross-validation. Hyphenate cross and validation, right? Do not say etc. The term etc., everybody, has no place in a CV ever, okay? Down here, facilitated team meetings, directed presentations, and demos of code. No, right? Not 2 lines here. This is way too brief for 2 sentences. This doesn't make any sense, right? You can say something like facilitated team meetings, comma, directed presentations, comma, and provided demos of code. You can say that, okay? But that would be it. So those are my recommendations. I know, brutal, okay? And again, I say all of this lovingly. So post back, get a job for the next couple of years and grind it out, overperform everybody. You're gonna need to knock people off their socks, right? And that is not a bad thing. It's gonna be really healthy for you, especially in terms of character development. This is gonna be a good thing, right? And I understand the slacking thing. It happens to people, okay? Trust me, I have so many friends. They were in a similar position. They were able to pull it out. I believe in you. I believe that you can pull this out. But you are the only one who can do it, and you have got an uphill battle to fight here, my friend. Okay? So thank you so much for sending this in to me. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Appreciate you. If you want me, this series is going to end soon in terms of me going through CVs. If you're interested in me going through providing this kind of detailed context and comprehensive feedback for you, go ahead down to the website below and book a one-on-one session with me, and consider joining our Patreon to support my work like this, which is patreon.com/navigatingacademia. Helps us out a ton. It's only a few bucks a month, guys, and would really appreciate it. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more in this series on navigating academia, please click on one of these links over here to be able to view more original content. I hope to see you there.